Yeah, big pee-pee. Dude, okay. You know how it was... Wait, I don't even know if you played it that long. But we would always put the network password of Meatwad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, dude. I remember that. I think all of us had the fucking password, the same password.
We put it in pee-pee.
You switched it to pee-pee?
Oh, yeah, buddy.
Dude, that's a classic. Dude, when I was working at the lab, bro, where, it's all fucking government shit. I can say this now that I don't work there anymore. I would make it to the stupidest shit ever, bro, and I'd leave it in a notebook and just change the number every fucking 3 months. Because every 3 months, it's if someone's like, hey, you gotta change your password. I was like, instead of Meatwad 1, it's Meatwad 2. And then one day my boss came looking through my drawer. He goes, what the fuck is this, man? I was like, oh, dude, that's my grocery list. He goes, Meatwad? Meatwad what? Meatwad 2? I was like, yeah, man. You gotta get 2 Meatwads, not just one.
If you stack lasagna on top of the other, it's still one lasagna.
Is it really?
Yeah.
It's not 2 lasagnas?
No, dude.
No, it's layers, bro.
Look,
there's no height limit.
Put a pizza on a pizza. Is it one pizza?
No, that's if you flip the pizza.
Yeah,
that's if you flip the pizza and then put it on top of the first pizza
sandwich.
Then that would be a calzone.
That's a big ass hot pocket.
No, that's a torta.
Yeah,
torta.
A torta isn't just bread. I've had a torta with fucking tortillas.
No, they lied to you.
I promise you.
That's just a ripped burrito, bro.
No, because a burrito is just one tortilla folded in on itself. It's not 2.
Is a burrito a sandwich?
Yeah, it is.
I guess it would be a sub. A burrito would be a sub.
That'd be a sub sandwich. Yeah, you're right.
What about a quesadilla? Is a sandwich too, right?
Technically, yes. Yeah. Technically, yes.
What about a hot dog?
Hot dog's a sub.
Yeah, that would also be a sub. The glizzies are subs. Oh yeah, buddy. That was our discourse about sandwiches, subs, tortillas, and bread. Welcome back to the show, everybody. We are back in May with, I think, a really good topic for the way the weather's going. Spring's pretty nice. We don't get too much of that out here in the West Coast. I'm not going to say where we are because
we're on Discord.
You're not wrong, but this is a topic that Danny's mentioned to us for a long time now, and I finally watched this. It's on The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. Great movie. And then we found out the other day there's actually a 1947 adaptation to it as well. And you found out it's actually based off a book too. So give us the quick synopsis, man. You introduced this to me.
Yeah, so one of our mutual friends recommended this movie to me, and he was like, yeah, you should watch this movie, man. It's got Ben Stiller. I'm like, I like Ben Stiller. And he's like, yeah, man, it makes you want to go outside. And I was like, oh, okay. That's interesting. I'll check it out. And then after checking it out, it was just like, oh, yeah, this is a good time, man. It's about a person named Walter Mitty who works at Life magazine, and he processes
the
negatives and photo rolls and all that stuff for the covers. And but times are changing close to modern time as they're moving to digital. And so they're cutting staff. And then at this moment, they get the final issue cover for Life from their main photographer. I forget what the number of the negative was. I think it was 25.
Yeah, it's 25.
And it's missing.
I wonder if there's some numerology bullshit about number 25. Hold on, keep going. I'm going to look this up.
And so Walter's a little freaking out because he's just like, oh, this is a big deal. Where is it? So the rest of the movie is about him trying to find the main photographer and ask him where is negative 25. And during all this, it's important to know that one Walter Mitty himself tends to daydream a lot and go into these wild fantasy adventures, mainly of just him, but also with his coworker that just joined a month ago, who's pretty cute, and he caught the feels.
Hold on, before we keep going on, dude, I have to say, there's something to be said about daydreaming. Especially when you daydream about a woman, a lady. And I feel like all these daydreams with her were pretty great.
Yes.
There's the one where they're talking right outside the Life building. He's like, "Oh, hey, let me show you what I've been working on." And it's this gold statue of him holding her. And I'm like, dude, that's so good, man. Like it's like that old school romanticism that I'm like, that's nice, dude. I like it. Really good touch. It keeps it in the realm of pure imagination, which is what I really, really liked about this movie. It honestly reminds me a lot of Big Fish in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, it's more of the comical, we know for sure this stuff isn't happening version of Big Fish.
Exactly. You know, it's what I like about Tall Tales.
I don't know. There was
what
a few
makes
parts.
them a tall tale.
There was a few parts there where I'm like, he didn't imagine that. Like when he was doing the skateboard tricks, I'm like, no, there's no way he did that.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
That
dude.
shit
Oh
was
yeah.
real.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. There's the first time I watched it, there was certain scenes where I was like, was that real? Like them in the elevator, and then I can't remember the other dude, the asshole actor.
Yeah,
who's
he's
in there,
from
the
Parks
one
and Rec.
who's taken over.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he pops into the elevator and they're talking, and then Ben Stiller's character Walter Mitty, he goes, "You know who looks better with the beard? Dumbledore."
Yeah.
I was like, dude, that's fucking great. And then it pans to them just kind of standing in the elevator, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm." Conversation, like we're back to the real world.
It really
like
made
when
me
it was
question like what's real.
Yeah, good
what's actually
transitions with
happening.
all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I thought I put ash in my drink, but it's just a bubble. Hold on, I gotta pop it. All right, cool. We can go on.
And, you know, the daydreaming stuff. Yeah, that's a big factor into the film, and I like how it's implemented throughout. Like, you know, it's telling the narrative of how, as he's starting to go through this wild adventure trying to find -25, he is daydreaming less and less. Like all the insane stuff that's happening is actually happening to him, and thus it's sort of satisfying that urge in his brain to wander off and daydream.
Mm-hmm. It's important to mention too before we go on to the synopsis that we start off the film with Walter Mitty trying to send a wink to this girl Cheryl Melhoff, which is the lady of a kind.
The lady.
And he can't send the wink, so then he calls up eHarmony, and we get our boy,
Yes.
Pat Oswald. Which for a while, like up until I got to the end, I was like, dude, this guy's voice sounds so familiar, but I can't put my finger on it. It was bugging me. I'm like, I'm just gonna wait till we get to the end. Maybe we'll get a face review.
Dude, I recognize Ratatouille anywhere, dude.
Dude,
That shit is up there with Shrek in my book, dog.
dude, it was so good, man. But he's talking with this guy, and he's like, "Hey, man, I can't send this girl a wink," and that shit hit really close to home, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Because the fact that he has to go out of his way to like
right,
actually like, dude, I really want to just wink. Like I really just want to
let
somebody, dude. Let her know that I'm looking at her.
for real. And then he's and then homeboy Todd is like, "Well, your profile's kind of ass, bro," in a really nice way. He's like, "You do anything?" He goes, "Nah."
I don't think there's no.
Because you been anywhere
for that?
He's like, "Well, yeah, I went to Phoenix for what? Oh, to visit family. Oh, well, we're not putting that in here." He goes, "Well, I've been to Nashville. What'd you do there?" "I was at the airport." "Oh, well,
Yeah, it was for a transfer flight. Yeah.
Yeah." Like he's like, I can't do much if you don't give me any information, So that whole bit, once it started in the beginning, I'm like, this is going to be a prevalent thing. I like this.
He's like, your profile, yeesh.
But the main full circle thing with me bringing that up is that he tells Walter Mitty, he spaces out, and then he asks him, he goes, "Oh, do you do that a lot?" He goes, "Oh, no, not too much." He goes, "Oh, well, and then he kind of gets cut off because the scene transition, but he goes, "Oh, well, people that daydream a lot tend to not have a very good life. They tend to be in their own imagination while they're navigating through whatever, shithole that they're dealing with." Right.
Yeah.
So I immediately, once that line came up and then the scene transitioned, I'm like, oh, okay, this is where we're going. There's definitely maybe some sort of trauma that Walter Mitty had to kind of like make him reserved into his life, or maybe he's just like this, he doesn't really have the drive to go and do anything. He just kind of sits idly by.
I felt that.
Dude, it was like when I was watching it, man, I was at the gym. I started there, and I was like, okay, I can't watch this here, dude. I'm like,
You gotta sit down.
like I'm trying to pump these gains, man. And then I was like, I kind of want to just go for a run and just like hold it in my hand, and like scratch and sift my balls with my left hand, for like extra effect. But it was, I knew I had to go back and rewatch it. Just because I could tell there was going to be a little bit of heavier topics that may have, come up in the film, or at least ideas. I mean, the other part that it got me, which I think is like a little bit close to that, which was, and I got to look it up right now, the quote that's in the wallet.
Oh, yeah,
The Life magazine quote.
Yeah, the life motto. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? The life motto in there?
Yeah. That's what he tells his coworker. It's like, oh, it's the motto for life.
Homeboy Fernando, dude, that guy's great. Okay, and the quote is, "To see the world, things dangerous to come to see behind walls, draw closer, to find each other, and to feel. That is the purpose of life."
That's
great.
That's strong on its own. That's a good monologue. That's a good, very good
100%.
A quote about life, even though it's like kind of, is this it's done or is this still going? The publication, because that's what I didn't get. Like, is Life magazine still?
No, yeah, it is. Yeah, this is clearly a different thing. As you know, me and Adam watched the 47 movie based off the book, and it's not about Life magazine itself. I think this is like a total rewrite of the story. Like, let's get the basic premise. Walter Mitty works at a company, daydreams a lot, and goes on a crazy adventure. And they just took that to their own, and it was fantastic overall. I really like Ben Stiller in this. He does some good stuff here. Especially like seeing him in the beginning where he's sort of like this awkward, stiff kind of person. And then moving on into the end to where he's just like, nah, you know what? I'm going to express myself, man. You know, you suck.
When he was riding the bike through Iceland, that shit was like kind of powerful. Because I think that was like the point where it's like, you're missing out on a bunch of stuff. The excuse that like he has to go find this dude is kind of like a good excuse to like get out there and just go outside.
Right. Well, you gotta remember the other thing too, right? Walter's been working at Life for 16 years. This is like what he does. This is his passion, right? It's to look at photos of what other people have done and put them onto the magazine. So if we look at it in the bigger picture, with him having to go with this negative being lost, his job was on the line. It was already on the line. So he's got nothing to lose but the job, and that's the most important thing to him, right? His family, he doesn't really give two shits about, except for his mother's piano because, you know, sentimental value or whatever. But once his job became in jeopardy because of something that was under his care, now he has the drive to go and do it. Now he has to go and figure this out, you know? So he goes on this long journey, you know, to Greenland, then to Iceland, you know, and you can see as he's going through it, he's like, oh, wow, that was really cool. You know, that was amazing. This is what people take pictures of. This is what people go and do. They just go and experience life in their own way, however they can, you know, and him missing all of that while living in New York City, which is a pretty big, you know, city of life, you know, let's be honest. He just clocked in, clocked out, said, okay, I'm done, you know, until something had to push him to move on, which is, I think what I like most about it, you know, like he was at that point, which I don't think it's really noticed unless you look at the character as a whole. It's like, no, he was put to that point up against, well, like, I have to do something about this. Otherwise I'm done. It's all gone.
Somebody else's job is on the line because of that.
Right. Exactly. And then he gets a text from homeboy Fernando, the dude who's in his apartment. You know, he's his boss, and he texts him. He goes, you got to get back. They're going to fire me. And he immediately goes back home for his boy.
Looking like he came out of an Indiana Jones movie.
Oh, dude, hell yeah.
That was cool.
That was also a good moment when he got the phone call, too, because that was right after he was doing his checkbook. You know, he's looking at his expenses, and he's starting to think, like, what am I doing? I'm just this guy. You know, why am I on this wild goose chase going across countries, you know, trying to find somebody who never sits still? And then once he gets that call, he's like, oh, okay, reality is kicking in. And then especially later when they have to sell his mother's piano because it's like, oh, well, they need the money. And he dropped like a couple grand going on that adventure.
On top of that, remember, he had to get a whole different suite for his mom to live in so they could fit the piano in there because they were having some trouble with her primary apartment or initial apartment that they were trying to get her into.
Yeah, and that was the more expensive option as well.
Yeah, dude, it's great, man. I think as the daydreams kind of, you know, subside more and more as he progresses through his adventure is really great too, because I think the last big one that he had was him in Greenland talking to, he was debating to get into this helicopter with this hella drunk dude. Which is like me, which is like any of us in con season, right? On like a Friday, Saturday night. We're blistering drunk. I can barely see out one eye. I'm probably like sharding myself, you know, and then this dude is like, hey man, I'm gonna go deliver mail to this boat that your guy might be on. And he's like, right now? He goes, yeah, after I finish my beer. With this big ass boot of beer. I want to go to Greenland just to have that boot of beer.
That was nuts.
Dude, give me the feet beer. That's what I'm gonna say. Hey, what would you want? Give me the foot.
Like
all of it.
Like when he took the mic and put it in front of Walter's face, he's like, "You sing the song."
Yeah, it's so good.
I'm like, dude, I could smell this dude.
You sing the song.
Yeah, I think my favorite part of this movie for sure is the humor. It's just so funny. It's like you don't really expect
some parts
it.
you could tell it's like Ben Stiller writing it too.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I know he directed the movie, but it's like some parts are very like
It's very him.
Ben Stiller-esque.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good stuff. And yeah, that was the last moment because right after that, the next crazy thing was him in the ocean and then getting attacked by sharks.
We gotta talk about this scene, dude, because the first time I saw it, I was really confused. I was like, okay, he's gonna jump. I was like, he can make it onto the boat for sure. But then the second time I saw it last night with Gerry, I was like, dude, hold on. Was there a scene where the other boat comes into play? And there was.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
The other boat's coming in, and I was like,
But for some reason I thought the same shit. Like, so he has to jump to that one. Just can he get a little bit closer? But I didn't see my brain saw it, but it didn't register that like, oh well, there's that one right there. But what are they doing? Like, are they just gonna grab him when he's in the water or some shit? Because there's no way he's gonna fucking make it. But then I saw they positioned right next to him. I'm like, oh well, fuck.
Well, see, I figured, okay, it's a fishing boat out. Like, they're probably doing a lot of deep sea fishing. They probably have a net that he has to jump onto, you know. And that's usually how this guy like delivers the mail. He just throws the package onto the net,
Yeah,
and it's a fucking, you know, and then you call it a day. But that's not how it was written. So I was very, like, the first time I saw it and he's jumping out the other way, I was like, oh! My balls sank into my asshole.
no fear too. The guy was just telling him, go, 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 and he's like, oh, all right, dude.
Yeah,
He's
because
like, oh wait, no, not that way.
Because he knew that he had a feeling that he could make it, but it's like obviously he couldn't, and also he went the wrong direction.
I think it's that thing where like just because somebody tells you like go, like it's like that little bit of solace where like they've probably done this before with somebody else or they've done it themselves and like, yeah, it's fine, you'll make it.
Yeah,
Trust.
yeah.
I promise you, my guy, it'll be great. And dude, and then he fights the shark, which was hilarious. He's fucking beating it with the whatever material his briefcase is made out of.
That was the Ben Stiller moment that I saw too. Where
Yes.
I'm like, yeah.
And that's a great transition into the rest of the movie. It started off like a lot of his daydreams where it looks like it's actually happening and you're waiting for the moment for it to cut back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity, you know? And
me too, dude.
but then no, like that actually happened and you're just like, oh, wow, okay, that's great. And then, you know, Ben Stiller's just freaking out. Walter Mitty's like, oh my gosh, what just happened?
Dude, and then we got to talk about this one too, bro. You know what I love most about films is when they bring in the Puck character.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
And when they and for people who aren't aware or who chimed into the podcast late, the Puck character that I describe is from Trees Lounge, which is just your boy. It's some dude hanging out. He's having a great time. Life is great. It's a beautiful day to him every single fucking day.
Hey,
And
Fonzie.
he's just a homie, dude. Yeah, exactly. He's like, hey, yo. You know, and the Puck character in this, man, this guy was great. He was so good. I loved him.
You from
He's
America,
like,
huh? Hey,
Yeah.
Fonzie.
I talk to you later, home slice.
Yeah.
Hey, you want a piece of cake? Hey, do you want to be friends on the Facebook? Hell yeah, man.
Yeah,
I love
it's
this guy, dude.
a lot of nice, wholesome moments like that in the movie.
Dude, it's great. I think one of my favorite parts is like where he realizes that they were just talking, like he knows the photographer's destination at this point,
Yeah.
which is in Iceland. And then the fucking Puck character is like, you mind if I take your picture? The other guy, he taught me a few tricks for my Instagram.
Yes.
This dude had a phone with the phone case and everything.
So good.
I think that's another really good moment, man. Just because it's like, yeah, dude, you did some really crazy shit and it was real. but on top of that, it worked out for you in its own weird, mysterious way.
Yeah, you know what I just realized? That whole thing could have been you, Adam. Remember that one time you were about to go fishing? Be a fisherman?
Dude, it really could have been me, dude. It really could have been me. If I didn't get the job offer right away,
Yeah.
I would have gone and lived that life for a month and a half, dude.
Heck yeah. Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, dude. All I had to do was call him.
Yeah.
All I had to do. So, fucking quick story time, man. When the going got rough, I didn't want to look at titties anymore because of being a DJ at a strip club.
Ah, yes.
And I was worried. I didn't really want to go to the hospital, like to work as transporter, but you know, our boy said he could get me in, but the interview process kind of took a little while, and like even just for me to get the interview. So I saw an opportunity to go work as a fisherman in Alaska for like, I think a month and a half, 2 months. And it was real good money, you know, but it also depends on the catch that you make. So like if you don't make a lot of money, I mean, if you don't catch a lot of fish, you're not going to make a lot of money when you get back, right? That's kind of how it works. But this was a season where it was going to be like, it's projected like always busy, you know, so I would have come back with like a whole grip of cash. But then I ended up not going because I got the hospital gig. Do I think about it every day, dude? Sometimes, man. It looked like a lot of hard work, but I think it would have been fun. I mean, I probably would have had so many bits when I came back, but you know, it's just that whole transition, right? He gets in the helicopter, he gets into the boat, now he's in Iceland, and then it goes to one of my favorite scenes in the movie where he's fucking coasting down this highway in Iceland on a longboard.
Yes.
That was cool.
Dude, when I saw him pick up the rocks, I was like, dude, there's only one thing you can do with that. You got the board. That's a long road. There's only one thing you can do. And I want to see you do it. And just the whole process where he's like, well, I got to find 2 good rocks, tap them on the ground real quick, get my tie, chop it up. Dude, and the form. I don't know if it was him. I don't know if it was Tony Hawk. I don't know if it was some other cat, right. Dude. I would like to hope that Ben Stiller fucking learned how to ride just for
Me
this.
too.
Like, but who knows?
Like
man.
with the kid too. I'm like, dude, that's not. There's no.
Yeah, that's clearly not him. Yeah, because I mean, it makes sense like the way they shot it, because it's like it's meant to be like, oh look, the mom's being distracted because Ben Stiller's he's actually being cool for once.
Yep. Dude, when I saw it the second time, I was waiting for that scene. And then Gerry was like, dude, he's not going to do anything. It's just fucking, it's not real. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at Ben Stiller's face and like, it's so blurred out.
Yeah.
That I was like, dude, that's got to be Tony Hawk. It's got to be somebody. Because if not, it would have been fucking Ben Stiller's like goofy ass face. Like, but that shit was great, dude.
Yeah, it's a really great moment for Walter Mitty's character as a whole. Before that scene, you know, he's talking on the phone and he's at Papa John's. You know, his dad was, you know, a big fan of him back with all the skateboarding and stuff. So I have that moment right after that. Like it really meant a lot to Walter Mitty, even though it didn't really show, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was great.
The character growth that this guy goes through it's pretty wild, man. You know, like he's going through this like run of the mill, you know, 9-to-5 guy who just doesn't really give a shit about what's going on, and then now it's like, oh well, everything's in jeopardy, and I don't really like to live life as it is, so I daydream all the time. And now I'm doing some crazy shit, jumping out of a helicopter, fighting a shark, running to get this bike versus like 15 other guys who were just trying to go look at some titties at a titty bar in Iceland.
Yeah.
Dude, I felt that so hard, man. When they're like, Walter, go. He goes, I'm going to go. He goes, no, there's only one bike. He goes, what's the problem? He goes, you got a whole boat of horny Chileans who want to go to the titty bar. Oh, this shit was great. The daydreams go away. He loses his job, and now he's faced with the ultimate decision. Like, what do I do now? You know? And then good old fucking mom comes into play. She's like, oh, your boy was here. You know, your photographer. He said he was going to go see some fucking warlocks off in, you know, Afghanistan or wherever the fuck. And then he's like, all right, dude, bet. I'm going to fucking go. And then he goes on this however long journey it was. Must have been like at least a week or something. Prepares himself to go up into the Himalayas. And who gives him a call? It's not your girl, dude. It's always your boys.
It's the
Oh,
boy.
hell yeah.
It's always your boys, man. It's your guy, Ratatouille, Pat Oswalt, Todd from eHarmony.
He's like, man, I miss this Walter Mitty guy, dude. He sounded pretty cool.
He's like, hey, man, what you been doing? He goes, oh, I jumped out of a helicopter. I'm in the Himalayas. I got to conserve air right now. I got to make the right choices. And then what I like most about that scene is that Todd is like, hey, dude, you got a whole lot of wings. Like, people like you, like they want to talk to you. And Walter Mitty just goes, dude, it's cool, man. I really don't even care anymore.
Right.
And then Todd goes, oh, well, Cheryl's off too, and he goes, nah, I really don't care anymore.
Well, because as we saw earlier in the movie that her ex-husband was at the house.
Oh, that's right.
And he said,
I forgot that.
Yeah, and he said, honey, and then Ben Stiller was like, oh, I thought I had a shot.
That fucked him up.
Yeah.
I felt that one too,
fucked
dude.
me up.
Yeah, because this whole time, in between the adventures, like he gives her a call, and just tries to make something happen. At least conversation wise, be friends and all that. Because prior to the movie, they never really talked. Like they met a good moment after the film started.
Right, but hold on, dude. We could take this apart real quick because I think this is important. So when he makes the call to her initially, hold on, let's go from the beginning. So he engages with her primarily for the reason that he's trying to find an address for the photographer, which is pretty hard to find. He's got a few of the pictures from the negatives, and he's trying to discern what's going on, and she attempts to help him. So now it's like, Tweedledee, Tweedledum, trying to figure out the mystery. And when he goes through all of that in Iceland, getting away from a volcano, jumping at, doing all his excursions, and then landing in a Papa John's, that him going full circle of his own life, of his own emotions, and him having this growth, he calls her. Not for the fact of like, hey, these clues, but I think it's more of, you're the only person that I feel I can talk to, because when he engages with his family, he doesn't really care.
Yeah, it's because they see him as the daydreamer, and even like his sister's not the best person to have a conversation like that with. Where she doesn't take things a whole lot seriously, as we saw, like the whole situation with their mom. Walter Mitty has responsibilities that he's telling his sister, and she's like, well, but I'm in Greece. I gotta, you have to do it.
Exactly. And I think that's just important, because that's another piece of growth. Like he's like, you know what, maybe I don't need my family. Maybe I don't need to be so attached to my family. I can be my own person, and I can have relationships with other people, whether they be romantic or not, and just have a good time, have a good life.
And also, he seems like the kind of person who doesn't have a lot of friends. I think Fernando's probably his only friend. I mean, I think Fernando knows, but this is something like, oh, me and her kind of went on this adventure together. She's the reason I'm out here, so I might as well give her a call rather than Fernando.
I mean, the only person who we could consider his friend would probably be the photographer, who has been giving him negatives for, God knows how long, because we don't really have that knowledge. We just know that he's been working there for 16 years.
The interesting thing about the relationship is I don't think they ever really met before the final moment with them in the movie.
Nope, I don't think they did either. And I think that was what like kind of pushed him a little bit more to find the negative, is that he came by and met his mom, and got her cake recipe, for these warlords in Afghanistan to trade passage. You go to Afghanistan and you think, well, I got to give them a whole lot of money. It's like, nah, dude, I got this clementine cake, bro. Mm-hmm. This shit bussin' with a big B. This shit bussin'. You're gonna let me through. And just seeing that scene with this guy with like a fucking AR, whatever that gun is, with a knife at the end of it, just stick it into the cake, lift it up to his face, and like take a bite. I'm like, dude, that's Ben Stiller writing right there, bro. Come on.
Oh yeah.
But I think just him knowing that interaction with his mom, and that he missed it because of a daydream, and she goes, "No, I told you in the produce aisle, you were off in one of your places.
Yeah,
wherever you like to go, that's where you were when I told you, and that's your fault. But he did say he was going to go and do this."
Yeah. And, just to mention that scene where they finally meet in the Himalayas, so good. A really touching moment between Walter and him, especially with how frustrated Walter was. It's just like, you left the negative in my wallet? Like, what? Like, one of the most important things for the magazine, and you just kind of left it there? And he's like, I guess I really didn't think about it.
Dude, my favorite part of that, where he's like, oh, I put it in the wallet that I gave. He goes, well, I chucked it. He goes, well, I feel hurt now.
Yeah.
And then he's like, why did you do it? Why did you put it in that spot? And then he's like, I thought it'd be cute.
Yeah.
I felt that, dude. I was like, damn, bro. You trying to give your boy some fucking nice little thing? It's like, hey, dude, here. Take a look, dude. That shit was great. And then just the preceding moment, right? He's there to photograph snow leopards. He went through all this bullshit to photograph snow leopards. He goes, you only get one chance sometimes at a shot. And then he sits back, he looks at it, sits back, and he goes, sometimes I don't take it. Sometimes it's for me. And I need to appreciate it. And then I'm ready to move on. You know, that I think that stuck with Walter Mitty like really, really well, because of everything that he went through. Yeah, it was for the negative, but at the same time, he's like, but it was also for me, because I was trying to save my job. I was trying to redeem myself in my own way and like live life, you know, because as he's going through this whole journey, he's taking notes the entire time.
Yeah, he experienced life like fully, rather than just kind of daydream about what he would want to do. He actually did it.
Exactly.
You know, it'd be crazy if the whole thing was a daydream.
Yeah.
I'd be mad.
I was waiting for it at the end.
No, this isn't that Nick Cage movie.
Which one? Fucking Mandy?
No, the one where he could look at 2 minutes into the future. But there's one moment that he could see past that, and it's him with this woman that he's never met before, and he's just waiting for that day for her to show up. And then, you know, we go through the entire movie, and then at the very end, Nick Cage wakes up in the bed that was like maybe like 30 minutes into the movie, and all of that was him looking into the future, because when he's with her, his power is stronger. And so the whole movie didn't happen, and he's like, okay, I know what I must do now, and he just leaves her there, and he's like, okay, let me call the government, and we'll go do this real easy.
Sounds like a lot of garbage.
What is this movie, dude? I want it.
I forget the name of it. It's a classic,
but I want to
Cage
watch
movie.
it. Dude, it's like that one movie where he's the fucking escapee from prison. What is it? Is Prison Break? I think that's what it's called, or something like that.
Yeah,
where he's in the plane the whole time. Dude, that movie was terrible, but it was so good. It's so bad, and then he's got this like really awful like Southern Alabama accent. And then there's the famous line, or at least famous to me, where he goes, "Put the money in the box." And it's a bunny from his daughter that she gave to him in prison. I'm like, dude, come on, man. What is this? Or on High School Host Club? Yeah, man, that whole scene was great. And then them moving into the soccer game. They're just playing it in the middle of fucking nowhere in the Himalayas, dude. That's peak life right there, man. Just play with a whole bunch of random people.
Yeah, perfect way to end that journey right there. Yeah, again, it's those little moments in the movie that really make it for me. And I'm like, it's always an enjoyable time to watch. Like when you were like, I'm going to watch it, I'm like, you know what? I should rewatch it. Let's rewatch it. It's just that good.
It's great, dude. I liked it a lot. You know, it's, again, it reminded me a lot of Big Fish, and Big Fish is probably my favorite movie of all time, you know, right next to Trees Lounge. But it gave me a lot of the Big Fish feelings that I get whenever I watch it. I'm like, this is great. This is going up there for me for sure.
Honestly, it's a good movie.
Mm-hmm. And then even the epilogue stuff is great as he goes to TSA and the Ben Stiller stuff comes back in.
Oh yeah,
where they just straight up tackle him
agents,
down.
You know, it's
yeah,
dude. And then the only person who can verify who he is our boy Pat Oswalt coming back.
And it's like, yes, the moment everyone's been waiting for, the boys meeting together.
Dude, that show was great, man. Over a Cinnabon.
No, I loved how he went for the handshake, and Walter Mitty went for the handshake. He's like, no, come here, man. Give me a big old hug, man. Come on. He's like, we're basically friends, bro. We've been through so much.
So you've been through it. I told your story on eHarmony, man. It was great. But yeah, dude, it's a good time, man. I really liked it. And then we get to our epilogue where they sell the piano and his mom, and then, you know, his mom's like, oh, he says something along the lines of like, oh, well, I don't have a wallet anymore. And she goes, oh, I always keep everything you throw away. There's the wallet. He finds the negative, doesn't look at it. And then he goes and gives a big old fuck you to the manager who is transitioning into life. And that line was great, man. That whole sequence was so good.
Go fuck you and your beard.
Yeah, it's really great because it shows all the progression that Walter and Mitty went through from the beginning, because you get to their first interaction with each other, super awkward, and it just really goes down that whole path of Walter and Mitty being made fun of at the office to now him putting his foot down and saying, look, man.
I think one of my favorite piece about the epilogue is that when he goes to get a severance package and he sees his girl, his lady, Cheryl Melhoff, also leaving at the same time. They start walking, talking, and he has the gall to be like, hey, let's go. You want to come watch this Grease play with my sister at a church? Makes it completely unconvincing as possible. But he's like, hey, you know, and she goes, hey, you know what? Why not?
You want to go to this completely boring thing that we'll probably not enjoy? She's like, yeah.
And she's like,
fuck it.
Dude, no. She says the magic word, dude. Sure. So you know now.
No,
they say sure.
No, it was the one where she. It was the one where he's like, "Oh, you walking that way?" And she's like, "Sure." I'm like, "Oh my god, there you go."
So remember, if they say sure, keep going. You got it. You got it in the bag. And then they see the magazine with the cover on it, and it's our boy Walter Mitty looking at negatives while working. And I think that's just so fitting to end the film, you know, because they were saying, oh, this is like the quintessence of life, you know, in verbatim. Like, this is the big shit. This is the good shit. And it happens to be of him who was fired. Like, that's just a big old fuck you to everybody all around, dude. It was great.
Yeah, it's a guy working at what he's good at, that he enjoys doing in a public area surrounded by all this energy that's out there.
Yep. Then he gets the hand holding and we get the nice fade out. You know, it's great. It's a good time. I liked it.
Yeah, I like the relationship between Walter and Cheryl throughout the whole movie. It's very wholesome. There's not time wasted between the two trying to build something, you know, like not a lot of excess dialogue and all of that. It was just enough to get the story going because, you know, it's like, well, you understand what we're doing here in the film, so let's not waste any time. Right, let's just get the important beats that are super wholesome and a fun time.
I think this adaptation's really good, dude. I like it a lot. But I also really like the 40s version, too.
Yes, the 1947 movie, which I have to guess because I haven't looked at the book, but this is probably a 1-to-1 adaptation, at least close to it, because the book was written around the same time frame, and just based on the scenes and the dialogue, it feels like a book a lot of times.
100%. Now, the difference here is that we have Walter Mitty constantly living in daydreams, who is living with his mother, who is plaguing his life, who has a lot of characters in his life that are just kind of like telling him what to do. You know, he doesn't really stand up for himself. He's literally living life, you know, by other people's rules. And then he comes across, what is her name? Something Van Horn, Rosalind Van Horn?
Yeah, Rosalind Van Horn. Yeah.
And she's like, hey, I need your help. Some guy's trying to kill me. You know, and then he crosses her path, you know, once in the subway on the way to work. She gives him a kiss. She goes, oh, sit down next to me. And then she tells him, hey, there's a hit on me. You know, can you please stay with me? That way I don't get hit. And he's like, oh, well, yeah, I guess, you know.
Well, but the big important thing about this, though, is the very first interaction before she even talked is he took a double take looking at her because she looks exactly like the woman that he always ends up with in his daydreams.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And so he was thinking, wait a minute, am I daydreaming right now? What's going on?
Or is this real life, dude?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I've been saying this whole movie.
And I feel like in the 1940s version definitely captures that a little bit more. You know, because, I mean, a lot of the scenes where he kind of like goes into his own head, some of them are, you definitely can know like, oh yeah, this is totally fantasy. Like when he's when he's an airplane pilot and he's gunning down Nazis and it just slaps his kill count like on the side of his plane, like 35. I'm like, dude, that's not real. that's definitely not real.
Yeah, it's interesting, right, to see the 40-year difference between what the daydreams would be between Walter Mitty from then and now. Because he's mainly looking at like the portraits, right, of the that he sees in the buildings, or he's just imagining like a similar scenario that is happening at that moment. So yeah, it's interesting like that, and surprisingly, those daydreams last a really long time.
Oh yeah,
fuck yeah.
Oh yeah. It's really nice, man. I like them a lot, and then it goes back to him like, oh fuck, I'm doing something, like somebody was talking to me, like I gotta get on this. I gotta get on this train. I gotta go to work. I gotta do something. So I really like that. And then we get introduced to the conflict of the film, which is she's trying to deliver a black book to her uncle that is in New York with information from the Dutch government of all these rich jewels and what have you from a Dutch museum. And then, of course, the other character that's introduced, only there for a short time, he has the actual notebook, and as they're all in the taxi cab ready to take Walter back to work, he slips the black book, which is extremely identical to the one that Walter Mitty currently has like in his possession to take notes of what's going on in his life. And I don't know if you picked up on this, Danny, but the black book looks exactly the same as the travel journal that the Ben Stiller adaptation uses.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's exactly the same.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah, the planner, right? That
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That he got. Yeah, okay.
So when I was watching that, I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." That's neat. I didn't pick up on that till I was finishing it up today. But I liked it, dude. I like how we're presented with things that, obviously the 40s version, he's forced to do whatever other people tell him to do. People take his ideas, specifically his boss, for everything that he's giving out to the publication company. And then we have this girl who looks like the girl of his dreams come in and be like, I need you to help me. I need your help. It's like, well, I guess I can save the damsel in distress if it doesn't interfere with my life too much. But then once his life becomes at stake, I mean, literal, life or death, then everything changes. But it's a good time, man. I like them both about the same. The ending is very quick.
It definitely took me by surprise, like a few things, especially the ending, of how jarring it is to where it just cuts immediately to like how his life is moving forward after this crazy wild adventure he went through, which to me it's interesting because, in Ben Stiller's Walter Mitty, gone through all these experiences to where he doesn't need a daydream anymore. His head is clear. But here in the 47 movie with, his name, I forget his name. It's Danny something, the actor. He still daydreams up to like almost the very end of the film. And just to see how, he gets the girl of his dreams, his boss respects him. He gets the promotion that he's been meaning to get for a while now, since he was going to get married to somebody else in the film. It makes you think if that was a daydream or not.
100%, dude. 100%. I feel like it's definitely more open-ended on what was real, what was fabricated, because there's that whole bit in the last sequence where they get a psychologist involved, and it's like, no, Walter, you've been like, it's all fake. You have this, I can't remember what the disease or the diagnosis was, but it's like you just live in a fantasy land, because your life is so bad, and like all these reasons. I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. And then we get the final sequence, which is, no, like this girl's in trouble. I'm going to go save her. We get to the resolution, the whole fight, with him and, the guy who's got the hit on them. And then we got the crazy doctor. I really do like the 40s version. But I think it's also because it's been some time since I've seen a movie that old, that seeing things in that way with the transitions, with the film score specifically, I think it was great. But it's just all that definitely encompasses a different experience. And I think that's why I like it just as much as I do the Ben Stiller version.
Yeah, I'd say for me, I think I like the Ben Stiller one more. I think just the overarching narrative is, to me more interesting. Maybe because it's more modern, and again, like the 47 version just feels so much like a novel, to where it's like, oh, I know exactly where this is going to go, with certain characters and like the certain beats that play throughout it.
Yep.
Yeah, there's definitely has its own charm to it. I think for sure it was a fun time to film, especially during the dream sequences where Walter can, be the standout guy and do these long stretch of bits that goes on, like when he was the was it when he was the pilot and then they were like, oh, do the bit, and then he's just impersonating all these people.
Yep. His old professor at college that for some reason people in the army knew about, and then the one I liked is where he's a French designer. And he's like having his own song about like how he designs hats and like that whole little bit. I'm like, that's pretty good. I like it.
And for sure, like there's certain things I was kind of like, I mean, it makes sense for the movie, but it just doesn't make sense like with the characters of how it's like he's marrying this woman, but it's like they clearly don't get along with each other. And it's like, I guess like their mothers made an agreement to like, yeah, they'll get married. I mean, it's weird because his fiance's mother doesn't even like him. And she says, don't worry, we'll fix him once you guys get married. And it's like, yeah, but why do you have to get married with him? Because, we get his asshole friend in the film and we don't know anything about his occupation, but, money's an issue. Like right before they get married, he needs this raise. Maybe the friend has the money, it was interesting to see this dilemma, but it wasn't really fleshed out enough for me, I think.
I think the other reason why I like it so much, and this kind of ties in with what you're saying, is that I feel like this would be great on stage, right? Like the film did a good, decent job at portraying, whatever the book was, because I haven't read it personally either. I probably will eventually one day, but just I felt like a lot of what they were doing felt like a theater play, like especially that whole bit, like. Where we get introduced to the asshole friend who clearly has known them since high school as well, where him and his fiance have met, because they mentioned that once. They're like, oh, well, we've known since high school. Why not? And again, this may have been like an arranged marriage, whole type of deal. So to me, it makes sense that way. But I can definitely see the error in translation for sure. I think both adaptations do a good job. I do like the more modern touch. But then I also really like the old school way. I mean, the fits, dude. And the whip. Oh, I can't say it. But anyways.
The charm is there, and it is appreciative to see it. And that made me enjoy the film more probably than I usually would, because it's like, oh yeah, I haven't really seen a film like this, like we were saying, and it's just like bringing in the nostalgic of watching old stuff like that. To go back to the daydream stuff and like how it was at the end, I would say that him outlashing at everybody, that was probably real.
Oh, 100. Oh, dude. Yeah, it had to be, because it's kind of like the Ben Stiller one, after a certain point, it's like, no, I have to break, I have to fight back for me. And that's exactly what he did when he found the negative. He's like, hey, dude, fuck you. Xbox.
But also, it's like he's gone through a lot of crazy stuff and nothing but yelling to Walter's face the entire movie. And now he's just finally fed up, because even then, when there's proof that he's not crazy, all of this was really happening, people aren't questioning it. They're just questioning like, well, who is this woman that you're with? They're thinking about themselves, because it's like, oh, this is going to ruin the whole thing with the wedding and all of that. And he's like, are you kidding me? We had the splooge knife, like, make all this noise. Dude, like, I almost died. Great.
The fucking cub knife, dude. So Gerry, anytime this knife came out, it was like a sound. But it sounded like...
It was a weird
sounded like
noise.
Cum, dude. It sounded like somebody was just like big cum.
Yeah, it was great. Jesus.
I think that's a really good scene, because... Again, he's hit this point. It's like they're caring about their life. They're not caring about what's best for Walter. They're looking out for their own, personal interests. It's like, well, what the fuck, man? You're putting all this pressure on this guy, and for his boss, he's giving him all the ideas. He gave him the pocket size edition. He gave him all these different, genres of of fantasy that he can use for the publication. And then you got the fiance, who's doesn't really want to be married to this guy. And then you got her mom, who doesn't really give two shits about him because she thinks he's a crock of hot shit. And then you got the asshole friend who's, you know, just big tough.
He's trying to get it in.
Yeah, he's just trying to get, dude, he's just trying to get it in, man. He's trying to get a little bit wet. That's it. You know?
Yeah, because we find out he's constantly proposing to Walter's fiance. Yeah.
And then you got Walter, who's like just gone through life and death, you know, to save this girl. And then they call her a Jezebel. I don't know what kind of R word that is, but that's an R word for sure, you know, and, you know, just him standing up for himself like that. And my favorite part is where I don't remember what the asshole friend says, but he says something and then he laughs and Walter Mitty goes, ah ha ha ha, punches him in the face.
Oh, it was so good. Just the way Walter laughed and immediately went for the hook. It was perfect comedic timing.
It was, dude, the slapstick in there is great. Like, I think just the way the slapstick is throughout the film, it's peak, dude. It's the perfect time for that little bit of slice of life to come in. But yeah, man, overall, this is a really good one, man. I really liked the movie. I like the idea of the movie. I think it's great. You know, this was a really good find, Danny.
Yeah, and you know, I always meant to check out the 47 film as well. And yeah, after watching, I was like, oh, okay, no, yeah, that's great. That's exactly what I was, I guess, not really kind of expecting, but along the lines of like, oh, well, yeah, this is a 47 film, so of course it's going to be like this. But no, yeah, overall, I enjoyed it. And it made me want to check out the book because I'm like, yeah, it's crazy how different it is from the Ben Stiller one. Because I just kind of assumed it was similar,
right,
to the book, but you know, just modernized.
Yeah, man. I wonder where Ben Stiller got the inspiration from. You know, like, was it from the book that he came across? Was it the film that he saw, like, at some point in time? Like, I always kind of wonder that kind of thing when somebody, like, either reboots or you know, remakes something that old, right? Because it is, I mean, I looked at the publication. That's 1939 for the book. The 1940s one was in 47. Then we got the 2013 film, you know. That's a long time. It's what, 74 years if I can do my math right?
Yeah, something 7 like decades.
That's a long time to bring something back like that. And you know, it did really well. There's definitely preferences for me for the Ben Stiller version over the other, but I think they both do a really good job until I read the, you know, source material, of course. But the moral of the story is, to quote an episode from Star Trek Deep Space Nine, you're stuck in your book. You're stuck doing what you're doing. Remember to, you know, peep your head up. Take a look around every once in a while. You might miss something.
Smell the roses.
You smell the roses, dude. Look at your toes, man.
Why? See,
go outside,
dude. I was gonna say, look at some feet.
hive mind,
Fuck.
dude. Hive mind. Do something, man. Go outside, dude.
Do something.
Take a walk to go get your beer instead of driving to the liquor store. Do something, man. Go out.
Go do something.
You know, anything, dude. There's a whole world to be explored. I think that's the biggest takeaway. And life is what you make out of it. And life can be a fucking, you know, exploration to Greenland, jumping out of a helicopter, fighting a shark.
You know, that I think that's another aspect I liked more in the Ben Stiller version, is the fact that he went to all these different countries, and you know, we have a vast change in scenery. Now I know that's, you know, limitations back in the 40s. You can't really do something like that unless you're behind like a blue screen back in the day, even if they, or like just cutouts of the environment, so it wouldn't have the same impact.
Right.
But yeah, definitely the whole aspect of going to different countries is what I really enjoyed the most, or part of the thing I enjoyed the most for the Ben Stiller Walter Mitty.
But with that, I think we can go ahead and give this a good send-off. Now, just remember, folks, get up, go outside, stretch outside. And if you ever want to send an email, that's bigfmoodpodcast@gmail.com. Give us a movie. Give us something that you would like us to talk about. And I will answer it or read it. I'll read it at the very least. I can't tell you I'll answer it. But thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your May and good start to your June. And we will see you not without the gloom, because June is sunny out here in the West Coast, so it'll be a sunny time. Stay golden.
How'd you find me anyway? It's my mom. Cool lady. Knows how to bake. Yeah. Hey, why did you... When are you gonna take it? Sometimes I don't. If I like a moment, I mean me, personally, I don't like to have the distraction of the camera. I just want to stay in it. Stay in it? Yeah, right there. Right here. Now let's go. Let's go. That looks like fun. I think I'm gonna jump in. Hey, what was the picture, Sean? We're gonna be odd numbered if you don't join. What was the picture? Let's just call it a ghost cat, Walter